Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. I am your host, Tiger Paul Craven. My co-host will be joining me shortly. That is Jordan Bowman in the back. But before we get into that, if you are not subscribed to the channel already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. We bring you college football content consistently on this channel. We also bring you a live video every week here, Thursday, 7 p.m., this video that you're watching right now. So come join us, get into the live chat, get your comments in, get your topics in that you would like us to discuss, get your questions in, and we will respond accordingly. Okay? Also, this is a live video, so please go ahead and hit that like button. We like to keep the ratio between those of you watching and the likes as close as possible because it helps with the YouTube algorithm, right? Helps it get out to more people, which is the ultimate goal of this channel, is to grow and bring more people along so that we get more points of view and more interaction with our fans, okay? And last but certainly not least, if you would like to support the channel in any other way, links are in the description of this video. Also, the Voice of College Football brand has launched merch. So please go check it out on the main channel. There are links to go see the Voice of College Football merch. Please go purchase some. It's high quality merchandise, and that will help support this channel and all the rest of the Voice of College Football family of channels that we have here on YouTube. And you can always use the super chat feature at any point in time in this video. If you choose to, that would be greatly appreciated as well. But without further ado, let me bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman, fan favorite. How you doing tonight, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Really just trying to adjust to this weather change. This has been crazy. I mean, you and I both live in the Carolinas, and you know how bipolar weather is around this time of year. We just had a tornado warning a couple of days ago in Clemson, and then now and then yesterday it was like 70, it was mid 70s for most of the day, and then now it was hanging in the high 50s, low 60s, and raining all day. So
yeah.
Gotta love this time of year. It destroys my allergies. My car was covered in pollen a couple of days ago. So, but hey, the allergies haven't hit me yet. Knock on wood. Let's hope that luck continues.
That's awesome, man. The allergies did not hit me until probably when I got off of work today and came home. Like I started sneezing like crazy, but the past like 2 or 3 days, like as you know, our cars have been covered with pollen. It is in peak pollen season down here in the Southeast, especially in the Carolinas. And like you mentioned before, man, if you don't like the weather, wait a couple minutes. Chances are here in the Carolinas, it'll probably change, which probably makes the job of weatherman the most desirable job here in the Carolinas, because you don't have to be right, because there's no possible way you can be wrong. Because it'll change eventually. You'll be right eventually. Here in the Carolinas. So,
gotta love it.
What else is there to say? If you haven't been in the Carolinas, I understand you not getting it. But if you've ever spent any amount of time in North or South Carolina, then you know the drill. It is what it is. You just kind of roll with the punches, man. So it's been a busy week for myself as well, man. Work has been crazy, much like last week. It's finally starting to wind down a little bit, getting a little bit of reprieve. I know you've been busy as well, but it's good to kind of break out this hour or two that we have on here to interact with, our people here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel and talk a little ACC and Clemson football, right?
Yeah, man. I look forward to this every single week. It gives me a break from the monotony and the grind and whatever you want to call it. So I'm always happy to be here.
Right. Absolutely, man. And we absolutely appreciate all of our commenters, all of our subscribers, all of our people that interact with us both on the live show and in the comment section. So, with that said, Jordan, let's go ahead and do a shout out to the chat section, those of which have already got in and started interacting with us in the live chat. So we got LFG. He was in here early tonight before we even started live streaming tonight. He was in here. So shout out to you, man. Appreciate you getting in here early and interacting with us. Michigan football at the Voice of College Football. So a fellow channel here in the Voice of College Football world that we live in, getting in here. So appreciate the love from Michigan football. Go check out their channel if you have not already. John is also in here. He seems like he's like always in here for every one of our live streams, man. And I really appreciate the support. He's always telling people to like and subscribe. So I really appreciate it, man. Like, shout out to you. Shout out to the Michigan channel as well. So
John is good people. Great contributor over on the Michigan Voice of College Football channel. A great contributor in the Patreon community. A moderator on the main channel. Just an awesome dude. So
absolutely,
always happy to have him in here.
Yeah, we appreciate the support. DP is in the house tonight. He says about 6 more months to go, boys. Yes, about 6 more months to go.
Long grind.
It's a long grind, man. It's a long off season in the world of college football. But thankfully, we have spring coming up. We'll have fall camp. We'll have all sorts of stuff to talk about. We got plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. Plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. That's the beauty of college football. Even when we're not playing games, there's always stuff to talk about. So it's always good. WB2DX gets in. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. George in the house tonight. Hey, George. Appreciate you getting in here. Todd getting into the chat as well. John Sarian in here. Time to cry in our beers about baseball. Yeah. Baseball season not going so good, huh?
I could go on a long rant about baseball. Obviously, big series coming up.
Monty comes back to town and starts beating Clemson already, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the good thing is baseball is a sport where anything can happen. It's not like football where the more talented team wins most of the time. Baseball is always going to be there's a high degree of variance. Anybody can beat anybody. But yeah, this is a big series for Eric Bakich and co. Obviously, this team has a lot of issues they have to iron out, particularly in the pitching staff. So hopefully those things are fixed at least somewhat by the time they tee off tomorrow. I do know that there's some concern about the weather. I know it's supposed to rain here. The first game is in Clemson. So I think they're planning to try and get it in before the weather starts to get too bad. But if they don't, I think they said that they would play a doubleheader on Saturday, I think, and then play another midweek game later in the year to kind of close out the series. So we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully they get it done, this weekend. But
yeah, hopefully they can get it done. I know Clemson softball's in town this weekend as well. They're starting a homestand. I think they play Syracuse 3 times this weekend.
Yeah.
So hopefully the weather holds out for them as well. Much better start than the baseball team.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's for sure.
Shout out to the softball
team. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, shout out to the softball team, number 4 in the country. Still doing big things. But yeah. So let's see. Who else is in here? George says, Mark's not even here, is he? No, he's not, George. He gets in here sometimes, but he's not here all the time. Me and Jordan kind of roll with this show by ourselves. So, but tell him his Michigan show still has a ton of people in the chat. Yeah, as always. Uh, it's funny. Mark's an Ohio State fan, but probably has a bigger Michigan following than anybody else on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, like honestly, Michigan and Miami, who both have a lot of gripes in history with the Ohio State program, are two of his larger fan bases in this community. So that's
right. Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
It's
cool,
pretty
though.
it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's it's always fun to see though. John says, curious to see what Garrett Riley does with Klubnik and Shipley.
We all are.
We're all curious, but he has no shortage of talent. I can tell you that. No. I'm sure he's excited as well to have the players that he has. Connor Johnson gets in, our resident Beaver fan. Shout out to DJU over there. Hope he does well for the Beavers over in the Pac-12. Y'all, I'm really starting to like DJU. Been on campus a couple months, and it's all business. It always is with DJU, man. Like, as much as, it didn't work at Clemson for DJ, he was never a problem off the field as far as his character, as far as its work ethic, as far as how he approached the game, as far as, the work that he put into the game. It was never an issue. Honestly, I think the biggest issue with DJ and Clemson was the offense never changed to suit his skill set. Like, me and Jordan have explained time and time again on this channel. And he just wasn't a fit for what Clemson typically does.
Right.
That's it, man.
And yeah, absolutely. Yeah, DJ was just a model for what you want out of a starting quarterback, just from his leadership, his demeanor. Even when things weren't going his way, didn't make excuses, didn't blame anybody else. He said when things didn't go his way, he was like, "That's on me."
Absolutely.
He kept working at it, and when the switch was made to Cade, he was supportive. You didn't see him down on himself on the sideline. He was still supporting. He was still supporting his teammates and being a leader, giving Cade some pointers. So that was a really cool thing to see. He's certainly just an awesome person. So Clemson is, everybody in Clemson is rooting for him to succeed over in Corvallis. So
100%, man.
Excited to see what he can do this fall. Absolutely.
He carries himself like a true professional at all times. So no hate from the Clemson community, at least not any true Clemson fans. I don't think. You may have a small set that want to talk noise or whatever, but every true Clemson fan that I know, everybody that really does follow the program wants nothing but the best for him. He didn't do anything to Clemson to tarnish the relationship or anything like that. He did his best while he was here. Let's see. My wife gets in here, says, make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Appreciate it. If you guys could hit the like button. We want to keep the ratio between those of you watching and the likes on the video high. For whatever reason, YouTube cares, and it helps the algorithm and helps us get out to more people, which is ultimately our goal, right? We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and we are slowly climbing to that way, even in the offseason, Jordan.
Yeah.
We're slowly climbing.
Yes,
I think we're at 4.28 thousand subscribers now. So those of you that followed us during the season know that we hit 4,000 back in like mid-December. Excuse me, not February, mid-December. So we're slowly climbing. It's slowed down since the offseason hit, but the important key is we are still climbing and we are still gaining subscribers, which is always a good thing, right?
Absolutely.
All right, I think that's everybody that has gotten into the chat section tonight.
Well, we've got some more, but actually we have a really good crowd tonight. I see we got the SEC dog.
SEC dog's in here. I didn't see him.
Yeah. WB2. I don't know if you gave him a shot, but hey, happy to have all you guys in here. Yeah, we'd be here all day if we.
I know everybody in here. Edward, yeah, appreciate you. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. I'm just trying to get to the show. I'm trying to get to.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and I want to get to the show. I want to get the comment section's thoughts on what we want to talk about tonight. And we got quite a few topics that I know you put into the chat earlier tonight, Jordan, that we want to get into. But first and foremost, we are going to get into the talk that has been going around college football since probably late last week into this week, right? Everybody has heard the comments that the FSU athletic director came out and said about the ACC. Everybody heard the comments that Graham Neff, the new Clemson athletic director, said, kind of supporting or going along with what FSU is feeling as far as the ACC goes. And, everybody knows that everybody's kind of negotiating new TV deals and all sort of stuff like that. Like the world of college football is constantly changing. It seems like ever since the domino dropped with Oklahoma and Texas, it's just domino after domino. Every single offseason, it seems we are discussing and talking about conference realignment, and that's no different this offseason. FSU comes out with kind of a haymaker, or not really a haymaker, I guess, but a threat, whether that be a legitimate threat or an idle threat. I guess that depends on what side of the argument you're on, right? From their athletic director, basically saying like, hey, look here, man, something's got to change. We're not getting enough money. We're not getting what we put into this conference. We're tired of being underpaid. How do you expect us to basically compete with these other schools that are not only already outgaining us, but are going to further outgain us with their new TV deals? So essentially, that's where Florida State and Clemson sits. They sit in the ACC where, last year they got $38 million TV payout from the conference, and every other conference is currently renegotiating their deal, namely the Big Ten and the ACC, right? Big Ten and SEC are kind of what the gauge is off of, and those teams are going to pay their teams anywhere from $70 to $100 million a year when it comes to revenue from the TV deals that they sign. So you look at a team like in the ACC, like a Clemson or a Florida State, making 30, maybe 40 million, to a team in the SEC or the Big Ten that'll make 70 to $100 million. It's a big discrepancy. It's got a big deal when it comes to recruiting, big deal when it comes to upgrading facilities and building new facilities. And, it's just big implications when it comes to working from that kind of deficit year in and year out. So with all of that said, where do you think this is coming from with Florida State and Clemson? Do you think this is coming from a place of they're actually looking for a way out of the ACC, or they're kind of trying to pressure the ACC into giving them more money? Where do you kind of see this coming from?
Well,
it could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it could. I will say this. I know there's been a lot of talk just this past week about, the potential of a revised revenue sharing model, an unequal revenue distribution model. I've done a lot of reading, a lot of looking into it, and the more I've thought about it, the less likely I think it's ever going to come about. One, I don't think it's a solution to the ACC's issues, especially the powers at like Florida State and Clemson, who are driving a lot of the TV value, but still getting a lot less money than the teams they're trying to compete with. So one, I don't think it's a solution. But second, if you're a middle to lower tier team in the ACC, why would you ever sign off on that?
Exactly. I wouldn't. if I was one of those
I
teams.
wouldn't either. If I'm a Boston College, if I'm a
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, if I'm a Virginia, why would I take less money to
I'm gonna give you my money so you can continue beating me by 50 a game. No,
yeah.
I'm not doing that. That sounds
And,
terrible.
and you got to think down the road. It's like, well,
Right.
if I'm a Virginia and Clemson and Florida State are clearly, you know, trying to nudge their way out of the conference, you know, what's the point of me, you know, taking less money just in the hopes that the conference sticks around you know, a couple more years? Because really, I think that the league in general is at jeopardy of possibly not existing in the near future.
Right.
Uh, so
And
yes,
could it just be a ploy by both FSU and Clemson to get more money from the ACC in order to save up and buy themselves out of the ACC and
yeah,
leave
possible.
anyway?
Yeah,
Even if they do up, say they're like, okay, Clemson, okay, FSU, you're right. We'll give you some more money and we'll take a haircut off the rest of the teams. What's to say Clemson and FSU aren't just saving that money, banking that money, and they have a long term plan, I guess, or a deal or a understanding together that they're going to save that money and then eventually buy themselves out of the ACC or work in conjunction with another conference to go 50-50 on the buyout.
yeah,
So
and so from that perspective, yeah, I don't see any way that that's going to happen. And even if it does, like I said, it's not a solution. So the only thing that remains is Clemson and Florida State. I don't know whether they actually have a plan moving forward. Well, I'm sure they have a plan moving forward, but I'm not sure what
yeah,
that plan is as
right.
far as what the next steps are to leave the conference, because the whole thing this revolves around, and the big elephant in the room that is really preventing any of this from moving forward is that buyout. Because not only, and a lot of people don't realize this, you know, they hear the number, it's like 140 million or something like that to buy out of the grant of rights for Clemson and Florida State, give or take. But that buyout, all that does is that just gets you out of the grant of rights. But you still have to forfeit. If you join a conference, you still have to forfeit your TV rights and your TV money over to the ACC for the remainder of the deal. So in total, up till 2036. So in total, if Clemson and Florida State were to leave to somehow buy out and go to another conference, the ACC would still own their TV rights up until 2036. And I heard the number is so in total, the number would be somewhere around 700 million that you're giving up instead of just the 140 to buy out of the contract. So
Yeah.
that's really the main attacking point I think that Clemson and Florida State are going to take is one, legally, a lawsuit as far as some kind of like dereliction of duty, or because there's been a sentiment that Clemson and Florida State feel that the ACC hasn't held up their end of the bargain as far as promoting the conference and putting them in advantageous situations for revenue. So from that aspect, I think that's the way that they'll end up going. Is through the legal system, because unless there is some, I don't know, loophole in the ACC's in the grant of rights contract that allows them to get out. I think that's the direction they're going to go. But this is a really fluid situation. I'm not. There's not a lot that's known. I know Florida State and Clemson have been. It's clear that they've been talking about this for a while now. Because the timing is interesting for sure.
The timing is interesting, and it's interesting that they came out in a very united front, right? The FSU athletic director kind of initiated this contract, or not this contract, but this talk of FSU possibly leaving the ACC, and then Clemson quickly echoed with with their athletic director. Yep. Yeah, we're fully on board with that. Yep. The ACC is not holding up to their end of the bargain. We're not making enough money. This is absolutely ridiculous. So the ACC is in a bit of trouble right now. At the end of the day, Clemson and FSU are the flag bearers for the ACC. If the ACC loses both Clemson and FSU, I don't know that they're still there as a conference. They're definitely not there as a conference on the same level that they are right now, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, without a doubt. But I don't know if they're a conference in general after that. I don't know if all the other schools just bolt to different conferences or, they kind of drop back and become a smaller conference. Who knows what happens there? But there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of stuff going on. But at the end of the day, it's about money. And the ACC schools are receiving roughly $35 to $38 million. And the SEC and the Big Ten are about to get probably $80 to $100 million per school. And it's just not sustainable for the ACC schools. You cannot operate in that much of a deficit and be expected to compete on the same level as these other schools. You just can't. I mean, you got a school like Florida State and Clemson operating in a deficit of, $30 to $40 million to Vanderbilt, to Rutgers. I mean, think about those names. And not that, Rutgers or Vanderbilt are ever going to be out here, shaming Clemson and, just drugging them up and down the field. I don't think that's the case. But when you're talking about money, and I know people are like, oh, how big are you going to build your facilities? How many indoor facilities can you build? How many weight rooms can you have and all this type of stuff? It's not about that.
Right.
Look, if you are not moving up with college football, if you're not trending in the right direction and your conference is not making the type of deals that these other conferences are, you're going to get left behind. And I don't care who you are. Clemson is a big brand in college football. Florida State is a big brand in college football. These are huge schools. But at the end of the day, if you're operating at a $40 million deficit every single year, it's not going to be too long before you're left behind and you look like a shell of yourself as a program. Because guess what? These coaches' salaries continue to go up. And if anything that Clemson has learned as a program is that coaching matters. Look at our offense the past 2 years. You're going to tell me coaching don't matter? We just spent the entire last show, Jordan, talking about the talent that we have on our roster. It's pretty much the highest in our conference, and it's, some of the highest in college football as a whole. But guess what? Our production on the field was absolutely terrible the past 2 seasons when it comes to comparing it to the talent that we have on the roster. So don't tell me coaching don't matter. And 5 years down the road, if we're operating for 5 years at a $40 million deficit, do you think we'd ever be in the running for a Garrett Riley?
No. Do you think we'd be in the running for a Brent Venables that we hired way back when, right? No, we would not. So it does matter, okay? Clemson makes a lot of money. I get that. They have amazing facilities, but it's always about what's next. And you have to keep that in perspective. And it's going to be interesting in college football. I mean, you hear a Dabo Sweeney go on to Greg McElroy's new podcast and talk about the big picture of college football and how he sees in 3 to 5 years a big change happening, right? A kind of coming together of 40 plus teams, right? Into, some sort of structure, right? He sees a commissioner, if you will, of college football. So I don't think all this stuff is happening at the same time. Like, we're hearing the noise from a lot of coaches talk. I bring up Dabo Sweeney because he's Clemson's coach, right?
and we discussed his interview with Greg McElroy a couple episodes ago here in the All In Show, and he kind of laid out his vision, what he would change in college football. And I think all this is just trending in the same direction, man. College football is about to go through a big change. What exactly that looks like, none of us know, but it's going to be first and foremost money driven.
Oh yeah.
And second of all, it's going to be brand driven because brands make money. And I know a lot of people are like, you know, the ACC needs to renegotiate their deal. What incentive does ESPN have to renegotiate the ACC's deal? The ACC is in the position they are because they are a terribly run conference. They have had decision makers at the top making terrible decisions for the longest time. Who signs a 20-year TV deal in the current climate that we are in?
Yeah.
A 20-year TV deal? Who does that? With as quickly as college football changes, with as quickly as TV deals change and revenue changes and all this kind of stuff, you signed a 20-year TV deal and then forced all your members to sign a grant of rights deal through that deal? Why would ESPN negotiate that deal? What incentive do they have to renegotiate
They don't.
that deal?
They're operating at a pretty penny. They get they get these
Exactly.
brands like Florida State, Miami, and Clemson at a cheap, it's at a premium, and they really don't have to pay them that much because they already they already have the deal with the SEC and all of that. And so
And the unfortunate part for a Clemson and FSU is they have no leverage to go to another conference because guess who has deals with those other conferences?
ESPN.
ESPN. So what do they gain by you going to another conference, right? Like, I don't know, man. I don't see ESPN willing to renegotiate the deal with the ACC.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be on the table at all.
Yeah,
and so I really think that I mean, obviously Clemson and Florida State are making noise. I think it's going to take more, and really, I'm really interested to see what the position that North Carolina, particularly North Carolina and Duke and Virginia, but really just North Carolina and Virginia, because those are the two other state flagship universities,
right.
major state flagship universities that pull a lot of weight in the conference. From an academic, conference politics kind of standpoint. So I'm really interested to see what positions they take, because I've read that both the SEC and the Big Ten would be interested in if they could in getting one of those two schools, because one of their academic prestige, but the markets they're in, their state flagship universities, but tons of research, really really prestigious universities. So I'm really interested to see what comes out of those two universities in particular. Because I think if they were to come out and say we want to leave, or start, or maybe not even just explicitly say we want to leave, but saying, hey, something needs to change, I'd be really I think that would go a long way in kind of making a shakeup. So. But yeah, this is like I said, this is a very fluid situation. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different agendas as well, and involved in all of this. And it's an unfortunate situation, because it's the result of many short-sighted decisions that have brought us to this point. So we love to blame the ACC, the leadership in the ACC, but also the schools involved agreed to it.
They did. They absolutely did.
So it's a really tough situation, and the future of the league is definitely in jeopardy, because, like you said, operating at a $40 million deficit to your competitors, that the teams you're trying to compete with at the national level, is it's going to be, that's hard to do. I mean, Clemson and Clemson especially has been operating at a deficit already, but
Right.
they've survived. But when you increase it, to that level where
I mean,
you're making
at a,
pennies to their
right.
hundreds of dollars,
I mean,
it's a tough situation.
This is the saddest part. When you look at the TV deals, okay, for a second, like I want everybody to understand what the TV revenue looks like for the ACC and what it looks like for the likes of the SEC and the Big Ten. The SEC and the Big Ten was outproducing, or what's the best way to put it? They were paying their schools more before they renegotiated their new deals.
Yeah.
Than Clemson is in their current deal. That, oh, by the way, doesn't expire until 2036. Look, the ACC signed a deal in 2016 for 20 years that was still less than the SEC and the Big Ten were currently making at that time. So you're right, to your point. It's not only on the ACC leadership, it's on all of these schools that signed this deal. And I don't understand why they signed the deal or why they signed the deal for that long. And then you got this grant of rights deal that even if a team left the ACC, they owe all their TV revenue back to the ACC through 2039. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, who signs a deal like that?
Yeah.
Like, what were all these schools thinking? And it would take.
I know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And it's a really complicated history, but essentially, it stems a lot from there was, especially at the time, there was kind of a fear of a lack of unity amongst the schools. When Maryland bolted for the Big Ten, that really kind of shook up a lot of universities within the conference. And even before that, I think like 2012, 2013, there were rumors that when the SEC was, or when the Big 12 was renegotiating their TV deal at the time, there was a lot of rumors of Florida State and Clemson possibly joining the conference. So there was a lot of unrest about, schools, entertaining other conferences, entertaining other suitors. Yeah. And the league really wanted to lock in a deal that would essentially keep the conference together. And it was a short-sighted decision. It was made out of it. It was basically a panic move. Jesus. And there was a lack of foresight as far as the kind of money that their competitors would be making in the future, and how much of a disadvantage it would actually put the schools, in the future. Yeah. Because the deal at the time, it seemed like, oh, okay, well, it's increasing every year. We're locked in for a long time, and we have security there. Right. But there wasn't that consideration of what the leagues around them would be making, especially the SEC and the Big Ten.
But the crazy thing, they were already making more.
Yeah.
Like, under their current deals, before they renegotiated them, the SEC was distributing roughly 55, and the Big Ten was distributing roughly like 53, 54 million per school. So, like, they were already making $20,000 more.
20 million, right?
$20 million more than any of the ACC schools.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, they just renegotiated their deals. Now they're going to be making $70 or $80 to $100 million a year per school. Oh, by the way, guess what? They renegotiate those deals before Clemson gets out of their current deal.
Yeah.
That pays $35 million per school a year. Are you freaking kidding me, dude? Like, these schools. So the current deal that the SEC just entered into, they renegotiate in 2034 before Clemson's 2036. And the Big Ten renegotiates in 2030. What is the ACC doing? I mean, we legit signed a deal through 2036. So not only were the Big Ten and the SEC already making more than the ACC schools, but they then subsequently signed a new TV deal that comes up and is renegotiated before our current deal is renegotiated.
Yep.
I don't know how in the world you sign a deal that is that bad, but somehow the ACC did it. Much like, look, let's talk a little bit about the ACC for a minute, because I'm so done with the ACC. If Clemson came out tomorrow and was like, we're done with the ACC, we're out. We're just going to be poor for the next 10 years. I wouldn't be happy, because it'd be basically suicide for Clemson.
Yeah.
So I'm being a little bit of hyperbolic right now, but I'm really sick of this, especially when you look into the numbers, which I have been doing today for, what is going on in the conferences and stuff like that. I mean, you're telling me a conference made all those bad decisions, and then in the COVID year was like, oh, it's okay, Notre Dame, don't worry, we'll let you in the conference for a freaking year, and you don't have to give us anything else. What is the ACC doing? All the leverage they had, they have given away. They haven't used any of the leverage that they have had. If I was running the ACC in 2020, the COVID year, when football was going to be played and then it wasn't going to be played, and then the players came out and was like, we want to play. So, players like Trevor Lawrence and stuff like that led the charge and like, we want to play football. And Notre Dame wasn't going to have a schedule because they're an independent. That was the perfect opportunity for the ACC to say, hey, guess what? You're all in on the other sports. If you want to play this year, you're going to have to join all in on football too. You're just going to be a part of the ACC conference. And if not, we're not playing you this year. You're not going to play football this season. Sorry for your loss. You're not a part of our conference. If you don't want to join our conference, you're not going to be added to the ACC schedule. Because what was everybody saying in COVID? Oh, we're only playing conference games, right? That was everybody's mantra. We're only playing conference games. Whether that made sense or not, it doesn't matter. They should have went to Notre Dame and they should have said, hey, either you join the ACC as a football team and as a whole university and become a part of the ACC brand, or you don't play football this season, at least not to an ACC team. And no other team was going to play them either, because guess what game didn't happen? The South Carolina Clemson game. All the crossover rivalry games did not happen in the COVID year. So Notre Dame wouldn't have played a season. Maybe they would have said, okay, we just don't play a football season. But at the end of the day, you didn't even try. Like the ACC didn't even try. They just bowed down to Notre Dame once again, and they were like, okay, well, we'll let you in for a season. What is that? Like, that's I don't know, man.
And those are just examples. And really, I think that's why the frustration is so real at programs like Clemson and Florida State, is because the ACC has, the deal is one thing. The deal is terrible, but that's just one of many things that this conference has done since throughout the ACC is 70 years old. It was founded in 1953. For essentially the entirety of its existence, the ACC has never stressed or done anything to promote the importance of football in the conference.
Yeah.
It's I mean, all the pejoratives about the ACC being a basketball conference, I mean, they're true, because this conference in general has never taken the sport of football, the sport that makes the most money every single year and draws the most eyes. This conference has never put anything as far as their football interests first. And for programs like Clemson and Florida State and I know Miami. We joke about Miami; they haven't won the conference in a long time, but Miami cares about football. At least they do now. It's never been.
Miami got no ACC championships. I can't relate.
Virginia Tech, when they were at their best, was especially when they were at their best, they were in the Big East, but they were still really good when they joined the conference, and they've fallen off recently. But really, just the ACC in general has not done enough to promote the programs that care the most about football and reward the programs that care the most about football. And really, that's just when we talk about that. Obviously, Clemson and Florida State are at the forefront of that conversation. And because of that, there's just been bubbling frustration for a very, very long time. I mean, Florida State, I know I know a lot about that program, and that's kind of, I know about that fan base that they've had gripes with the conference for ever since they've joined. Yeah. Because this conference has not done enough to promote the programs that care or do things that would put the schools that care about football in a good position to succeed. Right. Florida State and Clemson succeeded in this conference despite some of the roadblocks that this conference has put in front of them, and because of that, there's just been bubbling up frustration. Now we're at the forefront. We're at the boiling point here because of everything that's happening around them in college football, and seeing all the changes and the feeling of being trapped and stuck in neutral is very real. Right. And so this is people are talking about, this is just a several year problem. No, this has been a 40, 50 year problem. Yeah. That is finally reaching its boiling point. So we'll we've talked a long time about this, but this is a really
unfortunately, Florida State or Clemson doesn't have a clear path out of the ACC, nor is it going to be an easy path. It will take either a lot of litigation and getting out of the grant of rights deal, or convincing. What will it take? Eight ACC schools?
Yeah, eight. I think 8 is the number to dissolve the conference.
Eight is the number to dissolve the conference. Will that ever happen? Probably not. So it'll either take a litigation team, probably funded by Clemson and Florida State, to try to poke holes in the grant of rights deal, mainly the grant of rights deal, because that's really the issue, right? Buying yourself out of the media deal would not be as substantial as the grant of rights deal, because owing the ACC all of your TV revenue until 2039 would really be the handicap to not being able to leave the ACC. Not that, $100 to $200 million to buy yourself out of the conference wouldn't be a hurdle or a handicap, but it's much less of a handicap than owing all of your media rights deals or all of your TV revenue to a conference that you're no longer in, right? So that's one of the big things. Let me ask you this last thing before we move on from the conference realignment talk and the FSU Clemson beef with the ACC talk. Let's talk about the Atlantic Pacific Athletic Conference. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
I've heard a little bit about it, yeah.
So I was researching our topics today, and I ran across this Pac-12 ACC merger. And to me, now I'll give my opinion, and then I'll let you roll with it, okay? It seems like a desperation move. This seems like we don't know what else to do, so we're going to pretend like we're talking with the Pac-12 to get in cahoots for some quote-unquote lame super conference full of a bunch of teams that nobody cares about. That's just my initial thoughts on it. Granted, I didn't read too much into it other than it's laughable to me. It is laughable to have an East Coast and a West Coast conference kind of merge together and then, I guess, play each other fly across the country every week to play each other? Like what are we doing in college football?
Yeah, I don't know if there's.
I mean,
I don't know how much legs that there is to that. I'm sure. I know there's probably been some talks, but I don't think that's something that's one. I don't think it's a solution. I mean, it'd be really crazy. That's for sure. I mean, imagine Clemson playing and I've always wanted Clemson to kind of schedule some West Coast teams. I've always wanted
sure.
to see them play up in Eugene for in a game against
That'd be
Oregon,
cool.
or
Yeah.
play Washington, or even Corvallis. Shout out to my man Connor Johnson. I've heard that's a really underrated atmosphere. So just that would be really cool. But
Yeah.
at the same time, the logistics, all of that,
Right.
and does it solve your problem? I don't think it does. But
No.
it would be.
You're going to team
really
with a conference that can't get a TV deal by themselves in order to make your TV deal worse and further disperse the money that you don't have?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. What would be the purpose of that?
Yeah, and I don't know what the numbers would look like there. I mean, obviously, it would depend on what the actual TV deal is, but I imagine the per team payout would not be great.
Yeah. No, definitely not. Definitely not great.
No,
less than great.
I've said this because currently the Pac-12 is in the midst of renegotiating their TV deal. Like right now, like it'll be announced within the next couple of weeks, I think. The deal will be finalized.
Right.
If something falls through there are some Pac-12. There will be some Pac-12 teams possibly on the market. And really, I mean, really, the only viable options is if the ACC were to add, the schools. Really probably the only viable options would be Oregon and Washington. But as far as what would, I don't have any research. I don't know what the numbers would look like there, but possibly adding those two could slightly raise the average payout, but I really don't know what that would look like. But I think that would be a more viable option than hitching your wagon to the Pac-12 completely and creating a giant super conference, because I think that would just dilute everything even more than it already is.
Yeah. If the
ACC, you're not going to be making the same money. Either way, you're not making anywhere close to the money the Big Ten and the SEC are. So
the ACC does that amount. Look, we need to move on, but I mean it sounds like a ridiculous conference.
Yeah,
the Atlantic Pacific Athletic Conference sounds like the joke that it actually would be in real life.
It would get roasted in SEC and Big Ten circles, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't want to be any part. Like, it's bad enough being in the ACC. To merge with the Pac-12 would just be like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Clemson does at that point. Like, I'd rather turn into a Notre Dame and just be an independent dude. Like, I mean, what are we doing right now?
Oh man, could you imagine Clemson as an independent? I don't think we could. I don't think we could.
No,
do it.
I don't think we could do it. We don't have the money to be an independent like a Notre Dame. But
that'd be a rough endeavor for sure.
We'd be poor as shit, dude.
Yeah.
We might have to cancel all the new sports we've started.
Yeah, I know. Goodbye softball. Goodbye lacrosse. Goodbye gymnastics.
We can't do it anymore. Sorry. We can't pay for you guys' flights to away games anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh man, can you imagine the scheduling that we would have to?
Oh my god, we'd be flying all over the country.
Yeah,
dude. It'd be miserable.
Yeah,
it'd be miserable.
Imagine trying to travel to games, and what would be even worse is the clowns in Columbia, South Carolina would absolutely love it.
Oh, they would absolutely love it.
Oh, we get killed. Get killed. But no, it is a really this is a very tenuous and
Yeah,
very fluid situation. So
it's not a good feeling to be a part of a conference that is this incompetent at running themselves. Like it's really not a good feeling. And I know, like, I know other teams who aren't a Florida State, who aren't a Clemson, who aren't, a higher tier team in the ACC that would probably be picked up by other conferences. I know it's definitely not a good feeling for them, but it's not a good feeling for us either. Like, I don't want the ACC to go away either, but like at the end of the day, like, is the ACC even salvageable anymore? Like, what are they like? Did they watch Oklahoma and Texas leave the Pac-12,
the
or
Big 12.
excuse me, the Big 12? Did they watch Oklahoma
It
and Texas leave the Big 12?
They saw it.
And
I would
and
assume.
and they thought like, oh well, that'll never happen to us, right? And then they watched USC and UCLA leave the Pac-12, and they never thought that the knock was coming to their door. Like, who's running this conference? Like, I don't understand. Like Oklahoma and Texas was your cue to be like, oh shit, like, okay, we need to figure some stuff out. There's something going on in college football, and I feel like we're getting left behind.
Yeah.
But instead, they buried their head in the sand, and they were like, oh, yep. We got our schools.
It's all good. Everyone's happy.
Burp-a-dur, we got the ACC network.
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started on the ACC network, or we're going to be here another 2 hours. Oh my God.
We're getting paid $30 million a year.
Yeah.
That wasn't shit freaking 5 years ago, but we got it now.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. Like, what are we doing? Like,
man,
come on, ACC.
Don't get me started on the ACC network. Go, that is a joke of a network. Oh my Jesus. God. All right.
All right.
You want? Right. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, let's move on, man. That's conference realignment for the night. I am so done with the ACC. I am absolutely. Look, I'm done. I'm done with the ACC. Yeah. I hope Clemson can find a way away from the ACC, because truly I'm done with it. I don't think it's a salvageable conference, and we'll just leave it at that. But we will move on to some recruiting news. We got some big recruiting news, don't we, Jordan?
Yeah. Clemson in the 2024 class they got their running back.
We got our running back. I'm not going to pretend to say his name before you tell me how to say it.
Okay, so
I've tried to say it like 15 million times off air, and I still can't get it. So
yeah, it's well, I had an idea in my head of how it was pronounced when I saw his name.
Right.
When Clemson was first, they first offered him. I had an idea of how it was pronounced, and for the past couple of shows, I think I've said it 2 different ways.
And then much like DJ, we figured out we were all saying it the wrong way.
Yeah,
right?
It turns out we were all completely wrong. If you guys haven't seen, I think it was posted today, but Mark and Jason Priester from All Clemson, they did a video discussing the new running back commitment, and so he had he had to ask him. He had to ask David. David is his name.
Right.
How to pronounce it, and his last name. And I think the pronunciation I had settled on was Iziomume, because it just phonetically it made sense. I thought it was that was a good guess at it. But then when I heard Jason say it, I was like, oh, interesting. So it turns out it's David Ajumame. So it not really that hard to pronounce, just not really what you expected exactly. You would expect, but yeah. David Ajumame is his name. Running back out of North Cobb, 4-star consensus, 4-star running back. I think he's rated as high as the number 7 all-purpose back in the country.
Yep.
He announced his commitment to Clemson I think this is a really big pickup for the Tigers. I know a lot has been made about running back recruiting the past few cycles, especially since CJ Spiller has taken over as running back coach. So I think it was kind of a sigh of relief for Clemson fans to kind of get that commitment, because the past couple of cycles, Clemson has kind of scrambled to find their running back. It's especially last cycle. You missed on a lot of your primary targets, and then you're waiting at the last minute to secure Jarvis Green and Jamarius Haynes at the buzzer before signing day. So I think it's a sigh of relief for Clemson fans to get that running back commitment. I think this is a really nice pickup for the Tigers. I really like his tape. I think he's really underrated. I think he's going to be someone. I mean, he's a 4-star, but I still think he's underrated. I think he's a guy that could possibly rise up in the future. Really good size. I like how he. I like his vision. I think is what stands out the most. I think he. And he moves with purpose. I think that's kind of what stuck out to me when I watched his high school tape. Is he moves with purpose. There's not a lot of dancing. There's not a lot of all of that. It's not necessarily he can only go south, but when he finds that hole, he hits it. And so and I think he's got that vision, the really good size, and what's even impressive is he has the speed. He's not. I wouldn't say he has elite speed, but he has speed to separate from defenders. And I think that's kind of what you want out of a running back. So I think he's going to be a very valuable piece. Wouldn't surprise me if he were to come in and play early.
Yeah.
So really, really big pickup. He's like I said, North Cobb, Georgia kid. His main motivating factor was to stay close to home. He's really close with his mother. I believe his father passed away not too long ago. So staying close to home was really important to him. And Clemson offered that, and as well as they'd be able to serve him on the football side. So it was a really nice decision. He said, well, it felt like home for him, he said. Yeah. So this is a big pickup for Clemson. Happy to have David on board. Really excited to see what he can do when he comes to the upstate. So
David comes in 6'1", 200 pounds, running back. He was kind of the first on Clemson's board, right? So Clemson has been scrutinized, or a lot of Clemson fans don't like how Clemson does recruiting, right? They don't like how we do our offers and stuff like that. And it has came to bite us in years past, right? But we got our guy this time. CJ Spiller closed the deal. David was asked why Clemson. He really reiterated that it was the family environment that won out. You mentioned that he wanted to stay close to home. That was really important to him. So it really came down to a couple schools, and Clemson won out, right? Clemson, really presents that family atmosphere. I read an article where he was talking about, how it was really important to him. He grew up playing with the same type of dudes, all throughout high school. And when he went to Clemson, he just felt that same thing at Clemson, that it was that, that team atmosphere, that family atmosphere, that he really wanted to see in the transition from high school to college. So really encouraging that we got our number one guy off the board. I think he's going to be great. Depth for the Clemson running back room is, off the charts at this point. And who better to recruit people than CJ Spiller? I mean,
right.
He's a college football Hall of Famer. He spent plenty of time in the NFL. He's not, he didn't have the greatest of success in the NFL, but he spent enough time in the NFL to know what it takes at the next level. Why it didn't work, that is what it is.
Injuries and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff of why people don't work in the NFL. But he spent plenty of time in the NFL on NFL rosters. Yeah, he may not have been the marquee guy on the roster, but he spent, many years on NFL roster, making a whole lot of money to play professional football. So I have no complaints about this, man. It's our 6th commitment of the class. Am I right about that?
I believe you are right. Yes.
Yeah. So our 2024 class is looking really good so far. Again, we talked last segment or last episode, episode 8, about kind of the June visits that we started last year, right? We talked about the June visits and how that turned into such a snowball effect for Clemson's recruiting class. So we're hoping some of the same here in the first week of June this summer. So, and we're also what are we like 3 or 4 weeks away from the first? No, we're a week. We're a week away from the first.
I think it's
practice?
March. Oh man, is it
March
actually,
6th?
it might be less than this. Yeah, I think it's March 6th. I'm not sure.
March 6th. So
it's 6th, 7th, or 8th. I don't remember, but
I believe it's the 6th. So we are.
I know Clemson Monday. And Florida State start on the same day.
Yeah, Monday. Monday is day 1 of spring practice.
So that would be the 6th, right? Yep.
The 6th is Monday. So day 1 spring practice is Monday. We look forward to it. We're gonna have tons to talk about next week, man. All the stuff coming out of spring, all the storylines and injuries and all sorts of stuff.
Let's hope we don't have to talk about injuries.
Gabe's terrible. Shipley quit. All. I'm just kidding.
Don't speak that into existence.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking, but regardless, I'm excited about this 2024 class. It's already shaping up to be a really good class. Like always, Clemson is recruiting absolutely amazing, and we look forward to continuing that momentum come the first week of June when we host our big recruiting event for the summer, which is kind of new to Clemson, but has been super successful in the first season that we debuted it. Anybody else? Any other recruiting news you got for us other than our boy David committing?
Well, we also we do have our junior day too coming up.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. Go ahead.
Yeah, on March the 12th, a lot of big names coming in. Expected to be there. So I don't have the list in front of me right now, but just that Aaron Noland is one that comes to mind. He's kind of been a hot topic among Clemson fans. He's kind of a guy that Clemson has kind of had their eye on for a little bit. I've seen him rated as high as the 4th, or I think the 4th or 5th overall quarterback in the class. So he's a left-handed quarterback. I haven't really dug into his tape a whole ton, so I don't want to give a whole breakdown because quite frankly I haven't watched enough of his tape yet. But staff really seems to like him. Dabo and Coach Riley really seem to like him. So we'll see how that goes. He's coming in. We'll see if he leaves with that offer. I kind of suspect he will. He's kind of a fast riser. His recruitment has kind of taken off a little bit as well. He's gotten a lot of offers in the past month or so. But hey, Clemson stuck out to him enough. The communication was there, and so he's going to be here on the 12th, I believe. So really interesting to see the returns on that.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Hopefully we see the same returns that we saw last season off of that, right? So, all right, you want to switch gears to the NFL Combine?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about the NFL Combine. So we got a lot of Tigers participating in the NFL Combine, right?
I believe we have 8 participants. The defensive line and linebackers did their drills today. Saw guys like Brian Brzee and KJ Henry and Trenton Simpson do their drills, go through their drills. And we've got more coming up. I believe, is it? Oh man, I don't remember what's tomorrow. I don't have the schedule in front of me.
I don't know, but we still got Joseph Ngata, Davis Allen, Jordan McFadden, and BT Potter coming up in the workouts for the NFL Combine. Like I said, we got 8 people overall. We got a couple high projected draft picks. You know, Miles Murphy's a pretty high guy on a lot of draft boards. Trenton Simpson, Brian Brzee, pretty high on a lot of draft boards. Do you see any surprises when it comes to drafting these Clemson players? How many do you see going in the first round? Who do you see going in the first round for Clemson? I know Miles Murphy is probably like a guaranteed first round pick as far as kind of how the scouts see him and kind of how he's projected. But do you see anybody else?
Yeah, I see. I think Miles Murphy and Brian Brzee, especially. I think Brian Brzee helped his stock a little bit today. Watching his drills, I believe he ran a 4.8 40, which at that size is pretty.
Bro, come on, man! Like,
that's pretty.
Can you imagine somebody like that size running at you at that speed? Like, I'm trying. Look here,
it's scary, man.
I'm out. I'm not doing it. No.
It's terrifying. And
the answer is no. I'm not doing it. Look, you know how many millions of dollars you have to pay me to get hit by that guy?
Oh no. It's that's terrifying.
Look here, I'm gonna need disability for the rest of my life. I can't do it. I can't do it.
But yeah, Brzee, I think he impressed today. He moved really well. Yeah, ran a 4.8. I think it was his official time was a 4.83 or 4.86. I think it was 3 or 6, something like that.
Crazy.
He did a really good job. And the what am I thinking of? The 3-cone or whatever the drill was called. Yeah, I didn't get to watch the whole thing.
I got you.
But he had some really good times. I think his 40 time, funny enough, was actually not. I think it was 4th. Kalijah Cansey from Pitt, I think he ran a 4.67, which I think it was like the fastest 40 run by a defensive tackle. Does anybody
care? Does anybody care what a defensive tackle runs in the 40?
Well, it matters to an extent, because
maybe your get off, but like, does it really matter what you run in the 40? Like,
well, that's kind of what they're looking for. Yeah, I mean, your get off.
I get it. Yeah.
You know, it's a screen.
Maybe that split time is more important than like the actual.
Yeah, the split time is huge. Yeah.
I could see like the first. Yeah, that first split time would be way more important to me for a defensive tackle than it would be for how fast does he get up to in 40 yards. Look, bro, if my defensive tackle is running 40 yards. My defense has failed. We're in trouble. Okay, it's not good.
I suspect, and I don't know this for sure, but I suspect that most scouts, when they watch the 40, I don't think they these defensive linemen. I don't think they necessarily look at the
overall
the entirety of the time. I think those initial steps,
the split time, how they get off,
I
would have said, like, if I was a scout. Look, I'm not an NFL scout by any means, but if I was judging defensive tackles, it would be like that first split time is what I would care about, right? Like the rest of it, like whatever, dude. I don't care how fast you can run. I'm not asking you to chase down freaking receivers. I'm asking you to rush the quarterback, and to stop the run. So your first 5 steps is what matters to me, right? So,
yeah. I thought Brzee really impressed. I expect him to be a first rounder. There's kind of been some concern. I think the concerns about him obviously stem from his health and just kind of the limited production. But
I think that's kind of unfair when it comes to Brian Brzee. If you look at his whole thing, he wasn't necessarily injury prone.
Yeah.
He just had a lot going on, in general. Not necessarily all injuries, but just a lot in general. But I understand the injury concerns. But, I mean, I know I'm biased because, orange-colored glasses or whatnot, but I'll be taking Brian Brzee any chance I got. dude. That dude, he's made of the right stuff. He's a competitor. There needs to be no worries about what he's going to do at the next level.
I think he's an absolute stud, and so I expect Murphy, Murphy's an interesting case because he's not working out in the combine. I believe it was a pulled hamstring that they said, and so he's gonna wait till Clemson's pro day to run his 40 and do all those drills. So we'll see how that goes. But Murphy is a guy that's, again, like you said, he's high up on a lot of draft boards. I think a lot of the concerns with him stem from, I don't know, just kind of really motor production, all
drive,
that.
yeah. Motor, drive, just want to at times.
Yeah.
And that stems from and I think those are legitimate concerns from NFL teams, right? And I don't say that because I wish any ill will of Miles Murphy or anything like that, but there's very few people that I've ever heard Dabo call out in a press conference by name like he called Miles Murphy out this year.
Yeah.
So to me, that means something because that's not something that Dabo traditionally does. You hear Clemson fans all the time screaming about how are you going to say that's not DJ's fault? And he's out here being like, DJ can't catch the ball. He threw the ball where it was, so for him to call somebody out like Miles Murphy, I think that does mean something. So
yeah, but
not that he's not, going to be a great pro. He's capable, believe me. His talent is head and shoulders above, almost anybody in the draft. But, I think there are legitimate concerns there when it comes to motor and stuff like that. So, but look, he's probably going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah. Well, top 5, I don't know.
Top 10?
It really depends on. I think the measurables are going to be really huge with him because the tape is a mixed bag at times. Because I think the frame and the power and the athleticism is there,
right.
but it's just.
You think so?
I think there's some concerns about his.
Okay. Yeah.
Does he have the diversity of pass rush moves? I don't know if that is something that has really developed over his time at Clemson. So, but we'll see. I think the world of Miles Murphy as a person, and I also think he's
100%. The dude can rush the passer.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. The dude can rush the passer. So
yeah. So, but we'll see how it goes.
He's going to be a great get for anybody that gets him. Him and Brian Brzee, look here. Y'all better go ahead and grab those two. I'm trying to tell you.
And then
let's talk about Trenton Simpson.
Yeah, Trenton Simpson.
He's probably the next highest.
Yeah, I would say so.
On the draft board, outside of Miles Murphy and Brian Brzee. He's pretty high. He's super athletic, super fast. His size, his speed, that combination is pretty unique for. I think that makes Trenton Simpson pretty unique for the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the athleticism is really just is the biggest strength of his. And really, when you go back, I really love how Clemson used it. I wasn't a fan of how they used him this year, but
no, definitely not.
Yeah, but a lot of Clemson fans weren't a fan of how they used him this year. But when he was in 2021, I thought he was phenomenal, and I think that's more kind of indicative of his tape, his ability as a player.
Right.
He plays with a lot of instinct. I think he's a great pass rusher. I think that's a part of his game that I don't think a lot of, if scouts are just reviewing mostly his 2022 tape, they don't really get to see that. But in 2021, I think he had 30 quarterback pressures and just 90 pass rush snaps. That is insane. That is a 33% pressure rate. that is nuts.
That's insane. Like
Yeah. So and
unheard of.
so I think he's a guy that he can play stand-up linebacker on the edge, and kind of get after it. He can drop back into coverage. He's got the speed to do that and athleticism to run with a lot of receivers and tight ends.
Right.
So I think he provides a lot of versatility on a defense. So this linebacker class isn't that deep. So I think that he's going to be I think he's going to be a premier prospect at that position. So I could see him going. I'm feeling mid to late first round for Simpson.
Okay, good.
I don't think he's. I don't. The read I get is that he's not viewed as a top 10 pick, top 15 pick worthy, right, but kind of in that middle to late round.
So maybe 3 first rounds for Clemson.
Yeah, I think it's on the cards.
It's possible. Yeah. Let's talk about one of the fan favorites. One of the people that Clemson absolutely embraces and loves. One of the leaders on the team for Clemson this past season. One of the people that maybe had teased us going into the postseason. KJ Henry. This dude is the epitome of waiting your turn, developing, becoming a leader within a locker room, becoming one of the most respected players within a program. KJ Henry is one of those dudes. And I know maybe he's not as high on some draft boards as others, but this dude is an absolute leader. This guy is work ethic, unmatched, put his head down, realizes that, he has stuff to learn at every turn. I mean, I don't know how you could pass on that guy. Again, we're not NFL scouts. We're not, people that evaluate high elite college football players.
No.
But at the end of the day, KJ Henry, I mean, that's a guy I would want on my team, just because of his work ethic, his want to be a part of a team, to promote a team atmosphere, to be a leader for that team. I think is unmatched. I mean, I don't think you have anything to worry about when it comes to KJ Henry.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think KJ is. I think he's running. I mean, I think he's underrated. Obviously, I would take. I've seen him anywhere from a mid to late round pick. He's kind of been all over the place on mock drafts, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a really interesting case because he obviously he's been in college. I mean, he was in college for 5 years, but I think just his motor, his drive, his leadership qualities, and
he's just not a guy that's going to quit. You know, like if he gets to the next level and he meets adversity, you can look back on his college. He's not going to quit.
Yeah,
he's going to run through that brick wall. He's going to keep going. So, to me, if I was, a person making a mock draft or making, my draft board or whatnot, he would definitely be on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because, you just know what you're getting. Like he's just a guy that's going to keep working. And he's a guy that'll produce.
Yeah, and so, I mean, in just his college career is kind of the epitome of that because he came in, he was really highly rated, 5-star, one of the top defensive ends in his class, and he wasn't a major factor on the defense for a while.
Probably behind the scenes got humbled pretty quickly.
Yeah,
when coming to a place like Clemson, right? But instead of pouting, instead of being like, it's Clemson's fault, it's, I made the wrong choice in college, he put his head down, he worked, he got into the weight room, he studied the playbook, and guess what? he left Clemson as probably one of the most recognized and decorated defensive linemen that have ever played for Clemson. So that says something, as far as a prospect. I think that says something,
I agree. So, really excited for KJ. I watched I saw that I think he ran a 4.7 on his first 40 time. I think he came up kind of limping on his second one. So hopefully he's okay. I didn't really follow up on that.
Hold a hammy, maybe.
Yeah. So
that tends to happen with the 40.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's not. It's definitely not the first. So
yeah, no, definitely
happy
not.
for KJ. Excited to see where he ends up because I think he's going to be a really good pro.
Oh man, I can't wait, dude. Maybe the Jaguars can pick him up.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Be over there with old T-Law.
that would be dope. I don't know. It depends on what they do. I don't think the Jaguars are looking for edge rushers. So
I don't think so either.
Between Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker.
I'm always trying to build like a Clemson super team in the NFL. Yeah. In my mind, on Madden over here, I could build a Clemson super team. Yeah, no doubt. So that's always what I'm trying to do in real life. Yeah.
Hey, if the Bengals aren't able to work out a deal with T. Higgins,
hey, look here now.
We'll see.
Guess who knows how to throw him passes?
Interesting.
I don't know.
That'd be cool. Get the gang back together again.
Hey, that'd be pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
be pretty cool. Speaking of receivers, we got another person in the NFL Combine, one by the name of Joseph Ngata. Somebody that is never really imagined his true potential at Clemson, but moved on, entering the NFL draft. Going to try his hand at professional football. What are your thoughts about Joseph Ngata when it comes to the NFL draft?
Yeah, Joe, I think he's going to be a really interesting case study just because just his college career was marred by a lot of injuries and but he's really physically he's really impressive and he's a guy that's I think is going to test well in a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really intrigued to see what he what's in store for him. And you kind of saw him. He kind of blossomed a little bit towards the end of the year. I thought he was playing a lot better. But I think the physical tools that he has are really impressive. And so I think that's something that NFL teams are going to like. Obviously, we'll see how he tests that, but I have a feeling he's going to test pretty well. So I could see him being a late round selection. Because I think the measurables are certainly there.
For sure. Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what kind of how that plays out. But I'm like I said, I'm excited for him. I hope he gets drafted. That'd be really cool. It'd be nice for him. And hopefully he's he has a better pro career than he had it than his college career turned out. Because obviously there was a lot of high expectations for him coming in, and didn't really have the career that a lot of people were hoping for. So
we heard a lot about him, and then it just didn't pan out in Clemson, right? Yeah. We got a tight end in the name of Davis Allen, big tight end, big body guy, 6'5", 6'6", huge guy, big mismatch across the middle for sure when it comes to linebackers. Can absolutely run and catch the ball, can also block a little bit. I think he's going to be a really good tight end in the NFL. I think we talked about this several times this season about kind of looking back at our roster and then looking at it and, 3 to 4 years in the NFL and be like, dang, Clemson had all those dudes on the same team. And what their offense looked like, right? Like we talked about it a few times this past season when doing our post-game breakdown. So I think Davis Allen will be definitely a part of those talks and I think he's going to be a good pro, man. Like he's a dude. He's that dude. Like I wish we had him for another season. I was hoping he would come back, but I hope he has a long career in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he will because of the things that you mentioned. He has great hands. Physically, he's very, very impressive. Moves really well, and he blocks. And I think that's the biggest thing.
He blocks, right?
So
like he's a capable blocker.
Yeah,
which is huge.
And I think so many college tight ends that don't pan out in the league is because they don't or can't block.
Yeah, they're just big slow receivers, right?
Yeah. And so I mean I think that's part of the reason a guy like Jordan Leggett wasn't able to stick around longer, because obviously the athleticism and ability was there, but blocking left a lot to be desired. Got a little bit better towards the end of his career, but he was never great at it, and he wasn't able to stick around in the league, I think partly because of that. But Davis Allen, I think he's a guy that does it all. I think he's honestly, I still think that college scouts, not college scouts, NFL scouts don't really realize how good he is.
Right.
But he'll certainly be drafted. I think he's high up. I know he's fairly high up on Mel Kiper's board and some others. So I think he'll be a mid-round pick, maybe a third or fourth round pick. I could totally see that. But either way, I think he's going to be a great addition for any team that picks him up, because he's a guy that just he really rarely makes mistakes. He does what's asked of him, and he's a great receiving target as well. So he's just a good player to add for any offense. So excited to see where he ends up. And yeah, I agree with you. I wish he had stayed another year, but
man, I was hoping.
Yeah,
we were both hoping KJ Henry and him would come back. Both,
yeah, that would have been awesome. But
man, look here.
But yeah, like you said, Davis Allen's going to be one of those guys. I feel like that we're going to look back in a few years and be like, man, feels like we should have got him the ball more.
Yeah, feels like he underproduced at Clemson.
Yeah.
And it won't be his fault. It'll be Clemson's fault. The reason that he underproduced. So kind of like Davis or what's his name?
Who are you thinking of? I'm trying to
hold on.
What position?
Tight end.
Oh, what? Dwayne
Allen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dwayne Allen won the Mackey Award, so I don't know. I guess it's a little different, but
he did. But still,
he certainly got his fair share.
He did.
Hey, Clemson, that should be a note. Recruit more tight ends with the name D. Allen. That seems to be be a winning formula.
That's a winning formula if you use them correctly.
Yeah.
I can't count how many amazing catches Davis Allen made.
Yeah.
This season. But all right, on to the next Clemson player that will be participating in the NFL Combine, Jordan McFadden. One left tackle, one blindside blocker for the quarterback at Clemson. Long-time Clemson offensive lineman, long-time captain for Clemson, long-time, glue that kind of held the offensive line together, kind of like that dude at offensive line, that experience that was there. We will be replacing him this year, which sucks. But at the end of the day, I don't know that he'll be playing tackle at the next level, but I think he will be an amazing offensive lineman at the next level, probably interior as a guard or something like that. But he is an absolute NFL offensive lineman, no doubt about it. I think he will have a long career. Like I said, probably not at tackle, but I think he'll be a good interior player. Hopefully a couple Pro Bowls in his future for our boy Jordan McFadden. And the more that we produce good linemen in the NFL, the more it'll help us recruit in the right direction which is what, we've kind of talked about in past episodes, talking about our kind of philosophy change and our recruiting change when it comes to offensive linemen. And I think it starts with putting people like Jordan McFadden in the NFL and having them have successful careers, and then that parlaying into better recruiting and stuff like that. So,
absolutely, J Mac, longtime starter, played a lot of played mostly tackle here, played right tackle, played left tackle at the end of his career. But yeah, like you said, probably projects to be more of a guard in the NFL.
Yeah,
he has the length. Which is why Clemson, played him at tackle, because he has really long arms for a guy with his frame and stature.
He's so strong too, man.
Yeah,
like he could just move people,
Yeah. And so I think that was an appealing thing for Clemson. And but yeah, in the league, the size is not really there, and the height is not where it needs to be for him to play tackle. But I think he could be a really nice guard. I'm interested to see where he ends up. I've seen him I've seen mostly like kind of a late round selection, so we'll see how that goes. Obviously, the combine is coming up. He has a chance to kind of boost his stock.
I think he will. I think he's a little bit underrated. Just with his, I think he's a little faster than people think he is. I think he's a little bit stronger than people think he is. Like I said, I don't think he'll be a tackle at the next level, but an interior offensive lineman. I think he's a guy that can really produce at the next level for sure.
Absolutely.
So, and last but not least, we will cover our kicker, our longtime foot, our longtime consistent kicker, BT Potter. He splashed onto the Clemson scene as a less than reliable foot, but at the end of the day, he became one of our most reliable kickers in Clemson history. I think he leaves Clemson as the leading scorer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And although he leaves on sort of a rough game, I think all Clemson fans can forgive him because he came through with many a clutch kicks and many a good field goals that set us up for success, and that is BT Potter. And this will not be the first Clemson kicker that will go on to the NFL and probably have multiple years of success, but it is our latest one, and I wish him the best when it comes to the NFL Combine and being drafted, hopefully, as a kicker, because at the end of the day, like, it's a big deal to be drafted as a kicker, right?
Oh, yeah.
If a team spends a draft pick on a kicker, it's a big deal. Usually those guys are brought in as kind of, free agents and that type of stuff after the NFL draft. So if you are drafted as a kicker, you are the real deal. And I expect for BT Potter to be drafted because he absolutely is the real deal. The dude has an unlimited leg when it comes to strength. He can kick it, out of the building. So I wish him the best when it comes to the combine and performing and impressing those scouts.
Yeah. I like you said, BT Potter, one of the most decorated and kickers in Clemson history. Just like you said, came in, wasn't always the best, had a hell of a leg, didn't always know where the ball was going at times.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
The improvement was there, and he leaves Clemson as one of the best kickers in school history. So really, really happy for him. Hope he gets that shot in the league. We'll see how that combine goes. Hopefully, he's been practicing those 50 yarders. I know he can nail those.
Look here, I'm trying to say this dude can kick it from 60. He can probably kick it from 70 in the right scenario. So,
phenomenal.
I have no doubts he will impress in the combine.
Yeah,
if he can just calm those nerves a little bit.
So interested to see interested to see where he ends up as well. I hope he has a really nice and long career in the league, because it'd be really cool. Catman was the most recent Clemson kicker that spent a lot of
Cat
time.
Zorro, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So hopefully BT Potter is the next in that list. So
Hope so, man.
happy for him.
And maybe he'll get a little free time to come help our kicker along that we have at Clemson right now.
Oh yeah, Robert Gunn. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Come help Robert, BT, please.
Yeah,
please come help Robert.
Yeah, we can't go into next season with both our punter and kicker struggling.
Look here. You know what? No. I'm not going there. We'll save that for a later date. I'm not going there. I'm not doing it. You almost got me to go there. I'm not going there. But I think that kind of wraps up our show, our planned show for the night anyway, Jordan. I do want to mention the Clemson softball team. I am a huge Clemson softball fan. My daughter plays softball, and I follow every single one of their games. So I don't know if you know, yesterday we swept Gardner-Webb. We run-ruled them in the first game, and then we beat them 4-1 in the second game. Millie Thompson pitched in the second game, and Valerie Cagle pitched in the first game. So good job to Clemson softball. I think we are now, what are we?
15-1?
15, 16-1, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, 15 or 16-1. I think we got a 3-game series against Syracuse this weekend. So we are number 4 in the country when it comes to softball programs, which is pretty freaking amazing, because this is only the 4th season that Clemson softball has been around. They are playing absolutely out of this world. So
I'm so mad that in the one loss was.
Bro, did you watch that game?
I saw the.
I did too. Okay,
took that one from us, so I don't count that one.
Yeah, the umps definitely look. I don't want to sound like an Ohio State fan right now, but the umps definitely took that one from Clemson. If you watched, we dropped a game to Tennessee. Valerie Cagle was our pitcher, and then Tennessee had a freshman pitching, and she was on point.
She was insane.
Yeah, she was really good. She was moving the ball. She was changing up speed. She was doing the whole nine. Clemson couldn't hit. Tennessee couldn't hit until the last inning, and the umps decided to call a person safe on first base, which was clearly not safe. Not even close to being safe.
It wasn't.
And then that was ultimately the run that went home and scored, and Tennessee won 1-0 against Clemson this past weekend. So it's okay. Clemson is still 15 or 16-1. I can't remember, but they are doing just fine. No sweat off their back. I think they will continue to produce, massive amounts of offense and all that kind of stuff. So, if you are in the Clemson area, go check out the Clemson softball team in McWhirter Stadium. All season tickets are sold out. I checked. Believe me,
they are.
They're sold out. All you can get is general admission. So, that definitely needs an eye exam, DP. I agree. I absolutely agree. I could not believe when that call was made. And then when that run was the run that literally won the game, was that run that they called safe at first.
Yeah. So.
Interesting time. It is what it is. It's all good.
They still rose in the polls after that one. So
they still went. Yeah, we're still number 4 in the country. We're 17-1.
17-1. Okay, that makes sense.
Absolutely. 17-1. Absolutely balling out this season. Our offense is absolutely amazing. So no love lost between us and Tennessee. We got the better orange anyway. They're just jealous. It is what it is. But if you guys got anything that you would like us to discuss in the chat, please get it in the next couple minutes while we are on here. And we'll wait for you guys to get your last minute comments in and stuff like that about whatever we talked about tonight, about stuff that you would like us to talk about before we get off of here, or anything in general. You guys steer the conversation the last couple minutes of the show. So
yeah, Will, our resident Notre Dame fan, shout out to my man Will. He mentions Clemson basketball. Their final home game on Saturday against Notre Dame.
You wanna talk a little Clemson basketball? What is going on? What is going on with Clemson basketball, Jordan Bowman? Because I'm gonna be honest, like I said before, I follow a lot of Clemson sports. I can tell you everything there is to know about Clemson softball. Clemson basketball, not so much. So, are we going to the tournament? Are we going to the NIL tournament or the NIT tournament? Are we going to the NCAA tournament? Are we out of all of it? What is the case with Clemson basketball?
Well, we're not out of all of it.
Okay.
Clemson is going to be a really interesting case. Obviously, their most recent game, they fell on the road to Virginia. I mean, not a bad loss. I believe final score 64-57. But they had a couple of nice wins before that, blowing out Syracuse at home and then going on the road and beating NC State by 25 before that loss to Virginia. So I thought those were two really good, resume builders. Virginia, that win over Virginia, well, that game against Virginia would have been a really good opportunity to kind of get to get Clemson off of that bubble, because I believe that's kind of where they're sitting right now. Possibly first four out, kind of in that range. So I think Clemson, one, they cannot lose on Saturday to Notre Dame. As Will mentioned, Notre Dame did just beat Pitt, who is in first place in the ACC right now. So they're feeling hot right now, and so Clemson has to show up on Saturday, because if you lose that's a backbreaker. Leading into the ACC tournament, I think you got to win this game to secure that double bye, and you probably need to win a game or two in the ACC tournament to feel comfortable about your chances of making the tournament. So we'll see how it turns out. I didn't think Clemson played poorly against Virginia, but they were never able to really overcome the deficit they were in. Played good defense, but shots just didn't fall at the times they needed to. And Virginia likes to slow the game down anyway. So, yeah, big game on Saturday, last home game of the year before the ACC tournament. Got to win that one, and let the chips fall where they may, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's the worth of just looking at the comment section here. No OC, new DC, new QB. Let's go Tigers.
New DC. I haven't heard that news. We don't think we have the same defensive coordinator, but
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think Wes Goodwin has gone anywhere.
We got a new offensive coordinator, not a new DC. So
Jeremiah, he asked, do you guys see Wes switching to a 3-4 odd defense or mint 4-2-5 and 3-3 defense this year? It wouldn't surprise me.
Look,
I think it really just depends on how many of these I think you're going to need a couple of freshmen to step in, and if they show out, maybe there isn't much of a change schematically, but we've talked about this a little bit before. Wes, just from knowing his background, I think he's a little more comfortable in those kind of odd front defenses. It seemed like he's more comfortable calling those defenses. You kind of saw it at the end of the year when Clemson did it a little bit more, and they had some success there. And so I could totally see it happening, but I think it all just depends on what they get out of the guys in spring practice.
Yeah, that and the other thing is, like, he grew up following Brent Venables, and Brent Venables was always the type of defensive coordinator and just the type of coordinator in general that would play to the strengths of his personnel. So that's one of the things that I liked about Wes Goodwin last year is that I thought that he made adjustments well, both in game and both game to game. I thought
Especially at the end of the year. For
yeah,
beginning of the year, it was kind of rough.
yeah, kind of rough, but like towards the end of the year, Wes Goodwin proved to be a coach that could make in-game adjustments along with game-to-game adjustments based off of personnel and the team that you were playing. So I look for him to continue to play to those strengths. So if he's called to by either the team we're playing or the personnel that we currently have to switch to an odd front, I fully expect him to do so. And if not, I think he will put our defense in the best possible position to be successful. One, because, well, he's a super smart defensive coordinator. And two, because he's seen it with, Brent Venables and stuff like that. So I think we're in a good position when it comes to that sort of stuff, which is why I was way more encouraged with our defense last year than I was our offense. Although we have made it clear that our defense underperformed last year.
Yeah.
100% underperformed. But they showed the ability to, I think, improve. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Edward says KJ Henry is a 4th-round pick.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. I'd take him sooner than that, but I'm also
I would too, but yeah,
I'm also a Clemson fan. So.
Yeah, we got the orange colored shades on. So
yeah, exactly.
And I haven't evaluated every edge rusher in this class.
No, definitely not.
But yeah.
Let's see who else. Last time I checked, there was no P, nor is there a Z in Clemson.
Yeah, no, the P is, like they say, the P is silent.
Yeah. It's not it's Clemson.
Clemson, but the P is silent.
Yeah, it's Clemson.
Yeah.
I see Tiger Paul Craven is avoiding the issue. What issue am I avoiding?
I don't remember. That was probably something earlier. I don't remember the context.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me know what issue I'm avoiding. I'll confront it right here. Will, the Notre Dame man, Irish are hot.
Yeah, I got that one.
Okay, cool. Oh, he said, Edward said Brian Brzez's combine performance locked him in as a top 10. Okay.
I could see it. Yeah. I think he has – I think Brian has the highest – I think he has the highest upside of anybody in
his size, his speed. Look, I don't know why you wouldn't draft him super high.
Yeah. He's one of the power he plays with. He's just when he's healthy, there's not many better. So I think he's going to be if he can, if he overcomes all the health concerns that the scouts are going to point out, I think he's going to be an absolute stud in the league. So
Edward says Trenton was dubbed the most impressive linebacker at the combine today with the field drills and his 4.4340.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Just knowing how, like I said, that the athleticism is really, it's truly special. That just for his position, the speed he runs with, the lateral quickness. I haven't seen his vertical, but I'm sure it was really high.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
he's super athletic, so
yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. DP says we're not a basketball school. I don't let it stress me out.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
If only Jordan could follow your sentiment there.
Yeah, I know.
But he can't help himself.
I cannot help myself. No.
All right. Let's see.
We had Jeremiah also says our linebacker depth is shaky. Only backup I got faith in is Dudley and Jamal Andrews. Yeah, the linebacker position. obviously you know what you're getting out of your two starters. I mean, Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. might be the best linebacker duo in the country. But beyond those two, you've got some big questions to answer. And you've got some guys that haven't played a lot of football that are going to be stepping into bigger roles. And you mentioned TJ Dudley. Who was a late get in the 2022 class. Yeah. The 2022 class. But he was a pickup I really liked a lot. And I think he's really physically impressive. I don't know if you've seen like pictures of him. Like he's hit the weight room since he got to Clemson. He is really, really impressive. So I'm excited to see him get more on the field. Everett also, obviously Wade Wood, we saw a lot from him late in the year. So he will definitely be in that rotation as well. And Jamal Anderson, who will be a true freshman this year. He's again really athletic linebacker. Dad played in the NFL. So he's a guy that I think has a chance to work his way into the rotation early as well. So, but yeah, absolutely, we need some guys to step up there. Behind the two studs. So, but I'm not really worried because I just feel like Clemson really hasn't had like just poor linebacker play in a long time. Of all the positions that we've had gripes about over the years, linebacker has never really been an issue. We've never had that. We've never had poor linebacker play, I'd say. So you know what you're getting. If it wasn't elite, it was at least above average to really good. So I don't know. I just have faith, and I think we've recruited the position really well. We've got some talent there. So I don't know. I feel good. I feel good about the linebackers this year.
Good. WB2DX says perhaps Jordan could coach basketball in Clemson.
Hey, listen. I don't think I'm not saying I would do better than Brad Brownell, but I would absolutely take the paycheck that Brad Brownell gets. So hey, I will take that year of getting roasted on Twitter.
Hey, look, can I be your assistant
to get $3 million?
Can I be your assistant coach? I'm
not. Oh, sure, man. Yeah,
I'm not qualified, but
the only deal is I have to keep Dick Bender, who is he is one of our assistant coaches.
That's fine.
He's one of our basketball assistant coaches. I have to keep Dick Bender for obvious reasons. He's an integral part of the Clemson basketball program.
Yeah, we're gonna blame everything on him too.
I am 12 years old. I'm sorry.
Woodez has got it under wraps. We'll see.
Yeah, well, it's like 2.6, but I rounded up DP. Yeah. But yeah, he's making a lot of money. He came to Clemson. He was making $900,000 a year, and his salary has basically tripled.
Jesus,
his salary has tripled for every tournament appearance he has since he's been here. He has 3 tournament appearances, so his salary got multiplied by 3.
Imagine being subpar for 12 years and still getting a raise.
I know it's rewarding mediocrity is the.
Where do I get a job?
Basketball
where do I get a job like that? I can't relate. Where do I get a job like that?
The definition of failing upwards.
Yes. Look here, man. If only I could do that. Man, that's epic. But that's Clemson basketball for you for sure. Good thing we have football, right?
Yeah, good thing. And softball and men's soccer.
And is our new women's lacrosse team still balling out like crazy? What's going on with them?
They were.
I know they were like beating the crap out of everyone they played initially. But.
Yeah, I think they lost their first conference game to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I think they were like in the top 10. It was a good game. They were leading going into the final period, and I think they lost. but I haven't. I don't know if they've played a game since then or not. I to be frank with you, I didn't really keep up that closely. But they were playing well last time I checked. So, but they did lose their. I think last time they did lose their first game. Yeah.
Right.
So, but hey, they're still really fun to watch, though. They're really good team. I mean, you're already competing with ranked, ranked opponents in your league. That's it's pretty impressive. So
Absolutely. Let's see. We got. Of course, I've been here for 13 years. Been crap every year. Like how some fans love him. Yeah. No love lost between Burnell and the fans for sure. Look at the Coots coach for the past 10 years.
Well, which one? What basketball? Well, because they have a new coach now. They have Lamont Paris is the new coach, like for their basketball team.
Right.
They had what's his name? Frank.
I don't know.
What was his? Oh my God, what was his name?
I have no idea. No.
Oh no! Don't do this to me. What was his last name? Somebody in the comments help me out. What was his name?
Who is it?
South Carolina's basketball coach before Lamont Paris. He went to I think he's coaching at UMass now. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his last name. Frank Martin. Yes, thank you, Edward. Yes, Frank Martin. Who took them to a Final Four, by the way. They still fired him.
Frank Martin, yep. Sorry, I couldn't Google it faster than somebody could answer. But
and they still fired him. But hey, honestly, it's kind of weird because I think Clemson and South Carolina kind of have the same problems, but with their Clemson's basketball program and South Carolina's baseball program have had the same problem.
yeah,
Clemson basketball is holding on to a mediocre coach. South Carolina baseball is holding on to a mediocre, although they are undefeated right now. So I don't want to slander Mark Kingston too much before we play them, but before this season, South Carolina fans were clamoring to get rid of Mark Kingston.
Don't they got Monty Lee now?
They do. He's their associate head coach or whatever, something like that.
So they picked up another garbage coach on their baseball program.
But Clemson gets rid of Monty Lee, who and then
South Carolina,
who was good at the beginning of his tenure at Clemson,
and then South Carolina picks him up in short order.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I don't know, man. Hey, look. We can't really talk. Our baseball team is not doing well.
Yeah, no. But look, the thing is with the baseball program is really they're in a position where you had a coach that did not really get his pitching coach hire right, and
yes,
and because of that, you're now left with a pitching staff that is less than ideal, I'd say.
Absolutely.
And I think that was that's what did Monty Lee in. I think is he just the pitching was a consistent problem, especially towards the end. And now you're stuck. Eric Bakich is in a situation where he hired a fantastic pitching coach in Jay Bellinger from Florida State. When he was at Florida State had MLB pitcher after MLB pitcher come through there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously one of the best in the business, but it's going to take some time to kind of get that right and get some more talent in that room. I think there's some really talented freshmen. I think the starters for this weekend series, at least for the first two games, were announced. I know Tristan Smith. I think he's pitching. I think he's starting the second game. True freshman, left-handed pitcher. I think he's shown the most upside so far. So I'm excited to see him. They kind of, I think he only pitched 1 inning against USC Upstate, a game they lost, to kind of save his arm. But we'll see. I think there's some young talent in the pitching room, in the pitching staff, but some of your veterans are not great. And it's hurt Clemson in this 4-game skid they're on. So hopefully the baseball team gets it turned around. I don't want to get swept. I mean, I'm not going into this series expecting to win, but I want to at least win a game. I'd get swept by those clowns.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully they've gotten some issues ironed out. Yeah, Edward, I agree. The freshmen have been really good. Cam Canarella, he's had a hit in every single game Clemson has played. True freshman. He's been really, really good. I already mentioned Tristan Smith. There's some talent in this room, and you have. I think the hitting has been fine. But really, the offense hasn't been bad. Like I said, Cam Canarella has played really good. Blake Wright, he continues to be really, really good. Chad Ferry played well, has played well at times. Need Caden Grice to get going. But all in all, I think the hitting hasn't been the problem. It's really just the pitching has got to get better. But
absolutely,
that's my Clemson baseball analysis. I'm not the biggest baseball, I'm not the biggest baseball expert, but I follow the program closely, and I want them to do well because it's one of Clemson's pride and crown jewels as far as
definitely a Clemson crown jewel. I mean, the baseball program has been one of Clemson's crown jewels for a very long time.
Absolutely.
Outside of the football program, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see some other programs come along and be kind of Clemson's, kind of what Clemson's known for. It's nice to see the softball team take off. Obviously, we know what the soccer teams have done in recent history. Golf teams played pretty well in recent history as well. So sports is alive and well in Clemson, South Carolina, in small town USA, Clemson. So WB2DX says, I think we will stomp the Coots in 23. Are you talking about football? Because we better.
Yeah. You got to get your get back.
I don't know if me and Jordan will be very sane human beings if we don't in 2023. No. I'm going to be honest with you guys out there in the audience right now, because I feel like you guys are our true blue through and through fans out there that come to us every single week and spend time with us. We're not going to be happy. We're going to be some miserable people. So they better for our sakes. Please save Tiger Paul and Jordan. Please.
Yeah, please.
We might have heart attacks on air if that
keel over.
We might just die right here.
I can't do enough.
I can't do it. Look,
this has already been terrible. Just interacting with the fans and all that. This has been a rough. This is going to be a rough off season. So, I almost forgot what it was like to lose to them, and now that we have, I don't want to go back. So let's not do that again.
I'm with you, dude. Man, it's so it's so much worse than I remember, isn't it? Like maybe because I wasn't on YouTube before that, but
that's got to be it.
It's so much worse than I remember.
Because last time we lost to them, I was a freshman in high school, I think.
Yeah, when did we lose to them last?
2013.
2013. So I was, dang, bro, that was a long time ago. I don't know where I was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was probably deployed somewhere. I don't know. I was doing something.
Yeah.
I was doing something.
So yeah, I don't miss those days.
I don't miss those days at all. Garrett Riley will be wearing a Clemson cape. Hopefully he can get this offense going. He has no shortage of talent. He's got no excuses. If he could produce what he produced last year with TCU's offense, best believe these Clemson players can produce way more. Will says, I'm sure you guys felt the same way as I did when we lost to the.
Wait a minute. Hold. Wait.
Oh!
Wow. Okay. I don't think I've heard that before. That's.
Oh no! Oh man!
Oh wow.
Yo! That might be the best comment on our show thus far, dude. That might be the best comment on our show.
I'm not sure that I'm not sure that Tim and Tony and those guys would appreciate that, Will.
Yeah, it's all good though. I respect it. I absolutely respect it. That is hilarious.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's a great way to close us out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to close this out. Thank you for that. I learned that on the message boards. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that sounds that is definitely a message board insult. Yeah, they're creative over there.
That's for sure. Are, man. It's a good time. Hey, Will, you are your boys going to join the ACC anytime soon?
Don't. You already know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I do. It's all good. I wouldn't join us either. We don't want to even be there. The teams that are there. So, but Jordan, I think that does our show for tonight, man.
I think so too, man.
It's been fun, man. I absolutely enjoy this show, man. Really, I do enjoy this show.
Same.
Shout out to all the people in the comments section: Edward, Will, everybody out there. WB2XD, John Sarian, DP,
Jeremiah's Payne.
Jeremiah's Payne.
Who else up?
Who else? I don't want to miss anybody.
John, Angel Moss, glad to see you.
Angel
Greg,
Moss.
thank you for tuning in. I'm just scrolling through real fast. Connor,
Corey. We appreciate all of you guys getting into the comment section. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. We're not trying to leave anybody out. But we can't just read off everybody in the comment section. We really do appreciate you guys getting in. We appreciate you guys communicating with us. It's absolutely astonishing to me every single time I get on here and me and Jordan come up here to chop it up about ACC football, Clemson football, and just football in general when it comes to our great sport of college football. And all of you guys show up, show out, comment, and like our video and interact with us. It's absolutely amazing to me, and I really do appreciate it. You guys are the true MVPs of the show. If not, I could just call Jordan on the phone, and we could have this conversation without being on live stream. But you guys make it what it is, and always detract us from our normal show, which is what makes our show the best, right? We always have this well planned out like topics we're going to cover, and then we go into rabbit hole after rabbit hole, which is amazing. And it says something about our viewers and all the people that tune in. So with all of that said, we really do appreciate it. We will be back here next week at 7 p.m. on Thursday. And without further ado, Jordan, please send our guest off for the night.
Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back, like Tiger Paul Craven said, next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Same time, make sure to be there. Going to have a lot to talk about for sure. Some big news. Obviously, what I'm tripping. What is March 6th? What was March 6th?
March 6th.
Oh, beginning of spring practice.
Yeah, beginning. Yeah. That's the first day of Clemson spring practice, March 6th, this coming Monday.
Yep. So we'll be here to talk about that, and kind of our initial impressions of what's coming out of spring practice. So make sure you guys tune in for that, and we will see you guys next week.
Absolutely, guys. Until next time, I am Tiger Paul Craven. He is Jordan Bowman, and we will see you next week, next Thursday, 7 p.m. here at the All In Show.
Later, guys.
Later.